Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub channel for another Gameweek 6 preview. Today, I'm joined by a man who surprised me last week by hitting the wildcard button after we'd done our video out of nowhere, seemingly. But Friday night, the wildcard was activated. It is, of course, FPL Heisenberg. Wes, how was your game week?
Yeah, decent enough. I guess on a wildcard, I expect a little bit more, but yeah, that wildcard, like you said, it did come semi last minute. It was a long think Friday evening, looking at all the permutations and everything. It wasn't just a flick of a switch button to do it. But yeah, I'm happy I've done the wildcard. It gained more points than not doing it. My team wasn't in a good enough shape that I wanted it to be in. I wanted to make about 8 or 9 moves. I wanted to restructure. There were certain players I wanted to jump on. And yes, it made sense for my team. And I've also got a little bit of a plan to not restructure, but use free transfers now between now and sort of Game Week 8, Game Week 9 sort of time. To by the time Game Week 9 comes around and a lot of people will be wildcarding, I hope to have a similar team to those wildcarders or similarly as good, whatever I'm trying to say there.
Yeah, similarly as good of a team as people may be on in Game Week 9. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Makes sense to me, yeah.
That plan's in the back of my mind. And yeah, I didn't feel like waiting. It didn't really make sense for me to wait with the team I had. I could have limped on, but it would have, yeah. I've made points by wildcarding in the first week. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the restructure. If I could go back in time with a magic ball, I would maybe change a couple of things. Like Chilwell, I couldn't really predict him being benched, but in my mind, he was pretty nailed. Obviously, that's maybe not the case anymore. But FPL is always evolving. Whatever week you play your wildcard, a week or two down the line, there will be certain issues that crop up, and you deal with that, and you change, and that's what free transfers are for at the end of the day.
Exactly. And you don't really want to be limping along in this game ever, if you can help it, because it's not a fun position to be in. You feel like you're always chasing, and you can't really expect to leap up the leaderboard, go up the overall rankings with a team that's just limping along. I remember your team before the wildcard had a couple of 4 million defenders. You have Chilwell in there, but at least you have the cover now of really solid, bench options. Estupinian and Shah both on your bench this week. It's very, very strong. Did you start Estupinian, or he was on the bench anyway? I mean, who really just looks good?
I did bench him last week on my wildcard. I was potentially having to start him if I wasn't wildcarding, but yeah, I managed to wildcarding 5 defenders, and I checked their rotation on the fixture ticker. I got all 5 teams up, and I went through and said, right, am I happy to play 3 of these each week? And each week I went through, I was like, right, X, Y, and Z will be that week. The next week it will be A, B, and C, or whatever. Whoever I decide to pick based on the fixtures, based on the form. And now, like you said, with Chilwell being with this strategy of having 5 solid defenders to rotate between, Udogie was a shoe-in last week. At home Sheffield United didn't work out, of course, but now he's moved to third sub, for example, this week. And Chilwell, if I get cold feet about him starting, I'm happy enough to play cash away at Chelsea if needs be. So yeah, with this strategy, there's no rush to use defensive transfers. I can sort of wait and see how the Chilwell thing, for example, evolves if I want to.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Yeah, it didn't work out 100% as you would have wanted last week, but is it a bad thing? Do you regret going for triple Spurs against one of the weakest teams in the league in that single fixture? Obviously not. Let's have a look at your team for the upcoming game, because you said now Udogie out of the team for 2 weeks, completely fine because you don't need him. 15th spot. How's it looking overall? Are you still happy with it? Are you thinking of making a transfer? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, thoughts are to save a transfer. And then when, again, this is quite forward thinking now, but I think Salah's fixtures turn really nice around sort of the Game Week 8, Game Week 9 mark. That will require some tweaking financially to the setup. So one thing I have lined up potentially is 3 transfers. No hits included in that, but 3 transfers over the next few weeks. So potentially save a transfer this week, maybe 2 the next week, and then 1 the week after, something like that. Okay. And again, it's a loose plan that's fluid and can change, but the likes of either a Son or a Saka up to Salah, lose Bruno Fernandes down to the likes of a Diaby, or if I can't quite afford it, I might have to go as low as someone like Rodri from City, who has potentially a slightly different role this year. I don't really want to do that, but it's an option. Yeah. Or even a really cheap midfielder from 5 million from Burnley. Koleosho looks okay the other night. Again, don't really want to do that just to accommodate Salah. So I'm not going to necessarily rip up my team to get Salah in a couple of weeks' time, but I have plans there. I have a route to him if I wish to do so, either with Diaby and Salah coming into for a couple for the likes of Son and Bruno in a couple of weeks, And in order to free up some more money, it would be Chilwell down to maybe a double Newcastle defence and go Botman, or maybe cover that Brentford clean sheet because Brentford's fixtures are okay with someone like Pinnock. But yes, nothing to be done this week. I'm happy to roll a transfer. My only decision, yeah, I feel quite set this week, and it's quite a relaxing week, really. The only decision I've probably got to make is Cash versus
Well, this
Chilwell.
is it. I couldn't be relaxed in this position, my friend, because that is a big dilemma. If we're looking at the predicted points here, I mean, to be fair, it is the only dilemma, which is nice, and very importantly, you have Alvarez in place, which it seems like everyone is scrambling to get that man. For you,
Yeah.
you know, you just enjoy the price rises and the probable points. Let's be honest, but Cash versus Chilwell, according to the predicted points, Cash is starting here. What are you thinking though?
He's in. Yeah, I'm looking at
Is
my
he
own
in?
team now.
Wow.
He's
Okay.
in it. When I always do this thing where I'm sure most of us are saying, like, when the deadline passes in FPL, and then the game finally reloads, I kind of set my team for the following week. So when I did that, I had Chilwell starting because I didn't know Chilwell was going to be dropped on the Sunday. It was, I think. But yeah, with I guess the minutes insecurity surrounding Chilwell, I'll be interesting to see if Pochettino hints he's going to start. Then it is a real dilemma. If I think he's not going to start, it's quite easy just to play Cash, isn't it? However, obviously Cash has got an away fixture. Are they away in Poland somewhere for the Europa Conference League, I believe?
Oh,
Could be wrong there, so apologies, but
I'll
I
look it
believe
up
they've got
now.
an away
I'll look it
game.
up now.
Yeah, I believe they've got an away game in Europe, and that could be a determining factor for not for him necessarily, but the team performance. Whereas Chelsea have obviously haven't got that commitment. So yeah, Chilwell versus Cash is difficult. I'd possibly lean towards the home fixture. The player at home, the player who we know is a very good attacking asset in Chilwell. But then again, so is Cash. I was really frustrated watching the highlights of the Villa game versus Palace to see that Cash, who had just wildcarded into our team, I knew he obviously blanked by the time I watched the highlights, and they conceded, which was fair enough. They conceded a couple of big chances, but Cash in the first half crossed one in, nearly deflected an own goal in, just hit the side net in. Another one he flashed across the 6 yard box, no one quite there to tap it in. He had a header from like 6 yards out, easy chance missed, and then he sort of fluffed the left-footed shot again, just from open play. He was like in between the penalty spot and the 6 yard box, really decent chance, and he fluffed it. So watching that to not get an attack in return was quite frustrating. However, it's good signs for the future. And if we're basing it historically, we kind of think Chelsea's they are a bigger club than Villa, and historically they have been better in the Premier League. But if we go by recent history, last season, Villa finished higher in the league. Are Villa now a better team with a manager that's obviously had however long he's had 8 odd months with the team compared to Pochettino, who's a relatively new manager? So Cash, maybe we should be prioritising Villa or looking at Villa as the better team right now than Chelsea. So it wasn't necessarily, even if we knew Chilwell was going to start, I guess it's a fairly difficult decision anyway.
Yeah. So Cash, you're right. Playing Aston Villa are playing Legia Warsaw away in just a few hours actually at the time of recording. When this video comes out, that game may well have happened, and we'll know if Cash started or did well or was on the bench or got a career-threatening injury. Anything can happen. That's the thing. But his stats so far, and as you mentioned there, his performance even in the last game, just really, really good, and definitely a great player to have going forward. I guess you just wait for news on Chilwell then, and just hear what the manager kind of has to say.
I think so. Yeah, nothing we can really do. I don't think Pochettino is really gonna. It's quite wishful thinking that he's gonna even address the Chilwell situation. I think there was some pre-match comments, wasn't there, about Pochettino saying, "Oh, we're going to favour the attacking player in Mudryk for that sort of left wing position rather than Chilwell." But then Mudryk didn't play that well against Bournemouth, so will Mudryk be dropped out for the likes of Cole Palmer next week? And then obviously him and Sterling can maybe switch, or will Chilwell come back in left mid, or will Chilwell drop in for Colwill? Then Colwill maybe could play centre back or be benched himself. So, but
we don't really know, do we? That's the issue.
We don't know. All that uncertainty is leading me to think, right, I've got a player who's uncertain, a bit like maybe with Gabriel a few weeks ago. Will he start? Won't he start? And we've got to try and guess what the manager's going to do. It kind of feels like that situation a little bit now. So if in doubt, I think, if in doubt, solid choices to play someone who's more likely to play over that 60-minute mark, because we don't want Chilwell coming off the bench for 10 minutes again like he did last week, blocking my 7-pointer from Shah. Gets himself a yellow card as well, just for good measure. And in it, another frustrating thing, Chelsea actually did pull off the clean sheet. So Chelsea's defensive stats are pretty good. this season. So I would happily play Chilwell, but he is playing a good side in Villa. Him versus Cash is tough. If I get no clarification about Chilwell starting, I'll probably just back the more guaranteed starter in Cash. And then, like I said, with my free transfers over the next 2 or 3 game weeks, Chilwell out to a cheaper option could happen. Botman, Pinnock, like I said, and that frees up money for the Salah fund if I wish to do that. I'm not 100% set on that yet because it does mean removing, a 5-man, breaking up a 5-man midfield. I'm happy with.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the fact that Cash is playing so well and getting forward so well means that, I mean, I'm inclined to believe that Chilwell will come back into that into that position for Cash, if anything, because I think Villa are strong down that right flank. We see how important Cash is with that. Obviously, Colwell's there to back him up. But as I've said, I don't think that defense is going to change. I don't think Chilwell will be playing left back anytime soon. I think Colwell's been really good this season. And yeah, those comments at the end of last game in terms of the fullbacks not getting involved in the attack were, although confusing to me as someone that thought that they would be instrumental to the way that we played, makes me think that I don't think Chilwell will be coming back into the team in left back anyway. But it's still a tough one. If Cash was at home, you'd go Cash all day. But it's because he's away. That midweek game, as you mentioned. But yeah, I feel like that's one that may come down to the wire. And obviously, team news and press conferences is gonna change your opinion on that. But that's the defense, right? And obviously, the attack is just completely solid. We don't need to talk about that. It's perfect.
Yeah,
you have the perfect 3. So let's talk about midfield now. Son and Maddison, instrumental in your wildcard, perhaps you could say, for that game. What are your thoughts on them now? Because 2 really tough games going forward, and all of a sudden, they've gone from players that everyone are looking to get in to maybe players that people are looking to sell. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, it's a difficult one. With Richarlison obviously coming off the bench in the 80th minute, he ends up getting 20 minutes because there's obviously so much injury time, gets a goal, gets an assist. Now, does that impact Son in terms of minutes up front? I think we always knew that Son wasn't going to play 90 minutes as the centre forward. It was kind of maybe when Richarlison comes in, he'll go back out to the left. I think he did get subbed, probably some international duty fatigue. But no, I'm happy to hold them. I wildcarded last week. Obviously, it's a very context is everything in FPL, right? I was wildcarding last week. So when I was looking at that, I had that Sheffield United fixture to attack. Didn't work out, but I backed the decision. If I was wildcarding this week, I'd probably only get one. But now I've done it. I knew I was going to have to play these two fixtures. And I'm happy to do so. So Arsenal away. Again, I'm hoping for goals in these big games. I'm hoping it actually benefits Son and Maddison, especially Son, against teams who play maybe higher up the pitch. But we'll see. The way I see Spurs is they're a solid attacking team. They're premium players. There's nothing to suggest that Spurs are just going to not score in these next 2. Obviously, it's not a chart, against Burnley, whatever the score was in that game, like 5-2 or something, they're probably not going to score 5 goals away at Arsenal, of course, or 5 goals at home to Liverpool. But can Maddison and Son chip in with, over the next 2 game weeks, maybe, a goal for Son and a blank in the other, and maybe a couple of assists for Maddison? Something like that isn't out of the realms of possibility. They're still decent enough assets, and I'm just going to play them through the 2 tough fixtures. And then from there on out, they've got a good run as well. So yeah, that's what I think I'll do. Like I've said, because Son is so expensive, and if he's going to spend less and less time at that number 9 role, I could switch him to Salah ahead of Salah's good run as well. But yeah, as of right now, I am happy to hold them for their tough fixtures if needs be. And if Son does need to make way for Salah, it won't be a case of me getting Son out. It will be a case of someone needs to get out for Salah. But yeah, tough fixtures, but I'm happy. I'm happy with my midfield. Bruno Fernandes, I don't know what your thoughts are about him. He's been a frustrating one. I think he got an assist in the last minute in the Champions League last night, I believe.
He did, yeah.
He's posting some good. He's posting some good numbers. His fixtures are decent enough with Burnley away, who concede a lot of goals, and Crystal Palace at home, and then I believe is it Brentford at home, and then Sheffield United away. So as a set of 4 fixtures, it's decent enough for a Man United penalty taker. Obviously, Man United.
We say that. Hysteria. We say this every week, don't we? He's becoming frustrating. I think he looks great, but he's not accruing points. Only one only one set of returns against Forest in a pretty crazy game. I mean, He's getting frustrating, isn't he?
He is. It's a bit like Nicholas Jackson in a way, where Jackson's had one decent return against Luton, was it? In
Yeah.
all those other games, Jackson has a yellow card and no returns. Bruno's quite similar, where he's
Yeah.
got like 3 yellow cards and
Yeah.
Jackson's got 4. So they're racking up yellow cards, those two. I haven't got Jackson, but I just think it's interesting that they're racking up sort of these underlying numbers. Bruno's expected assists are high, but it's not really, they're not converting. So I think for whatever reason, Jackson's expected goals are quite high, but again, not quite working out for him. So he is a frustrating player. He is at that price point where he is more towards the more expensive, I guess mid-price, but a little bit higher than the likes of a Diaby, or if I do need to get to someone like Salah, then yeah, he could be the guy to make way. It's just those fixtures. I kind of wish he had worse fixtures.
100%. They're too good to sell. The problem with him, unlike Jackson, I think, is that we've seen what he can do in the past, Bruno.
Yes, yes.
But at what point does it become less, anomalous and more? He hasn't been returning for the whole of the back end of last season. Well, pretty much the second half of last season, and now the start of this season. I don't know. For me, it's a definite hold because we know we know his pedigree, but it's not one that I'm happy to keep through all the good fixtures now. Like Jackson, it's more like he's got to do it now or he's gone, despite the fixtures. Because as you said, we've got Salah around the corner. For me, I've got Son around the corner in game week 8.
Yeah, exactly that. It does come a point where it's like, okay, Burnley away, if you blank again, and then Palace at home, before Brentford at home, which will be, is that week 8? I think that could be a time where you think, you know what, you've had good fixtures, you're still not returning. He'll probably be on 4 yellow cards by then at least. And then it's like, right, he's nearly banned. He's going to go even before sort of Sheffield United at home. Sorry, away. So yeah, it's tricky when I think he's a tricky player to own, but maybe it's a case of if we hold him for these next few weeks, if United get a penalty, it's going to be a decent haul because he's normally pretty good for bonus. If someone can convert the chances he's creating, again, he's got some chance of being in the point. So he's not like you said, it's an easy hold for. He's got a lot of things going for him. He's a 90-minute man as well, which is so important.
Yeah.
Like so many players these days, with 5 subs in the Premier League, so many players get subbed early. Even someone like, I've had Watkins for most of the season until wildcarding. And the thing I used to love about Watkins back in the day was he was 90 minutes every single week. So if there was a last minute goal or assist, he could be involved. Whereas I know he played 90 in the game week just gone, but there's been other game weeks where 3-0 up, cruising at home to Everton, subbed off on like the 73rd minute, and it's like there's more goals to be had in this game, and Watkins has gone off. So, and that's not me disparaging Watkins in any way. It's more just a 90-minute thing for someone like Bruno with United's injury problems. He just pretty much has to play week in, week out. So yes, it's more, I guess we're holding him a little bit in terms of hope. He has got good underlying data. It's a really interesting FPL conundrum where when we have players with good underlying stats but not returning the actual points, how it's very difficult weighing that up. Like, do we stick by these players? Are they the type of players? Are they on the cusp of good returns?
Yeah.
Or are they not confident and poor, snatching at their chances? A bit like that could go with Jackson right now, right?
That's the thing. I think that's yeah. All that you're saying, I think is very legitimate for Jackson. But maybe it's becoming legitimate for someone like Bruno. Maybe not so much the lack of confidence or snatching at chances, but just like, to what extent do we hold this guy when he's been disappointing for a while? But you would never sell him before the Burnley game. I think that is, if he's going to haul in any game or at least return, Burnley, I mean, even away, that has to be the fixture in my opinion.
Yeah. And we've got, if they'd have gone to Bayern Munich last night and lost 4-0, then that's another sort of nail in the coffin of United players. But they scored 3 goals away at Bayern Munich. Okay, I think it was only the 1 assist for Bruno, but the fact that United are scoring team goals, I think Højlund scored last night, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Højlund got off, he pretty much got a goal in the last game that was quite unlucky to be ruled out. Rashford just ran out of play, didn't he? But if he's scoring goals, then the player likely to assist him, I guess, is either Rashford or Bruno. So Bruno can create a couple of chances for Højlund, and Højlund can actually finish them off. Then we're going to get some assist points from Bruno, and the goal scorer isn't going to hurt us too much in terms of Højlund's overall ownership is going to be low. So
yeah, I mean that was the problem last year, wasn't it? We had Bruno feeding the likes of Weghorst, and that was as much of a reason as any as to why the expected numbers weren't actually becoming the real numbers. But now with
100%.
Højlund, who looks very, very sharp. Yeah, surely at this point we're going to see some returns for Bruno.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Who knows? But for your team, I do want to have a look at your AI transfers, your recommended transfers off the back of a wild card. Normally, you'd be looking to roll, of course, and thankfully that is also the recommendation to bank your free transfer. However, there is an alternative option, which is Chilwell out for Botman, which probably won't surprise you.
That's what I if I was to do a move this week, it would probably be that.
Yeah.
If Cash picked up some sort of minor knock tonight, then it would probably be Chilwell to Botman. I'd then start Botman away at Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Play him. I'd free up some money, and that money would go towards. I'd then probably save the transfer the following week instead of this week, and then have 2 for game week 8, I believe it would be, and that would allow me it would free up a bit of money. It would get Botman in place. Kind of ruin my. I kind of had a long-term rotation plan with my 5 defenders. I didn't want to be making any transfers in that position, but I don't think, because Newcastle's fixtures are so good pretty much every week, I don't mind having the double up there. And if it's a slightly tough fixture, just play one of them, or maybe even bench both and play the others. It can still work, my rotation, with going for either a Botman or maybe a Pinnock. I'd have to think about it more. But I think I'll end up saving the transfer, because if I did do that Chilwell move, I'm not 100% convinced on wanting to get rid of Chilwell either. If he can be a start, I think it's Fulham away and Burnley away.
Yeah, the fixtures are still really good for him. It's just whether we think he's going to start them. Yeah.
So if we get a Colwell injury, or if we get a Mudryk injury, or I don't know, maybe I'll bench Chilwell this week and he'll play against Villa and be man of the match, and the points will stare me in the face, but at least I'll then have a good player in my squad. So we'll see. I think saving transfers always better in this situation, because then, if I commit to Botman this week and then he gets injured, or someone else emerges, or like I said, if Chilwell gets his place back, so many things can happen that make saving the transfer better. And then with the 2 free transfers next week, if nothing else goes wrong and Chilwell's still a rotation risk, absolutely, that recommended transfer, and what I suggested earlier, wasn't it? Chilwell to Botman.
Exactly. I think, I completely agree. There's a lot of information to be gained, specifically with Chilwell this week, not just on whether he himself is a good option, but as you mentioned, other options as well that could come to the fore. And if you can bench him this week, as you're planning to do, then there's absolutely no need to rush to sell him, because you can just do it next week, as you said, if you have 2 free transfers. So I definitely think that rolling looks good for your team.
Yeah, and just quickly on, if you are again back to, we didn't get a chance to talk about my wildcard strategy last week because I didn't know I was definitely going to do it. But this is part of the reason why I wanted 5 solid defenders. None of them break the bank in terms of financially, so I can happily bench even the likes of Chilwell some weeks and play the others. But I've got solid choices to come in should I get hit by injuries. And even if I have to play Udogie at home to, say, Liverpool next week, okay, it's not ideal, but it's still an attacking fullback at home. And especially clean sheets aren't really that prevalent across the whole game. So really happy to have 5 solid defenders now. Really happy to have Archer in. Really happy with my goalkeeper rotation.
But I think an easy roll this week, but who knows? Like, that could all change come Saturday morning if we get some information from the press conferences, or if Cash gets injured or whatever. Have to wait and see. Guys, if you would like to know 100% what Wes is doing, I mean, we saw last week, it can definitely change from this video. I mean, quite drastically last week, but normally it can change a little bit from this video until, up until the actual decision. Then sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, link down below, 30% off, 7-day free trial. And you also get access to, along with like an abundance of other tools and articles and whatever you want that's to do with FPL. The thing that I love the most is the AI recommended transfers that we saw right there. So link to do so down below. Wes, thank you very much, my friend. Hopefully the wildcard gives you a green arrow next week. It looks good. It does look good. But never the best to play your wild card and then get a red. But it's part of the game, isn't it? No one did well this week.
Yeah, it's one of those. And like I said, I would have had a worse red if I didn't play it. So It's been a very difficult start to the season. However, I'm happy with the wild card. I'm happy I played it. I feel like I can attack now. I often play a wild card early and I don't necessarily need it for later on in the season. And just before we go, in the comments, I think if people can vote who looks better in a hat, either myself or Jack, I'll vote for Jack. So Jack's one
I want to take my headphones off, because my headphones look so stupid with a hat, whereas at least you have earphones which look sensible. Whereas look at this, it looks stupid. So I'll definitely vote for you, my friend.
Thank you very much. What a
There
win.
we go. Yeah, exactly. Guys, comment down below who looks better. Let's leave it there.